Hey guys, had a quick video. I want to do the Area 419 Hellfire brake and go over what I think about it and why I have it on all of my precision rifles. Okay, so first of all, what I was looking for was I had that Howa 308 and I needed to put a brake on it because it was the first bolt gun I had in a while. And while 308 isn't like a, it doesn't kick that hard, it's not something you want to shoot without a brake on all day long, right? You use a brake, especially if you're shooting competitions, for purposes of recoil mitigation, so that you can see you can see and spot your shots. Right? You take a shot. If your gun moves all over the place and you have to reset, the longer it takes you to reset, the longer you're missing the impact of that bullet. If it was left, you don't know where it is, right? So if you can spot your own impacts, that helps a lot, especially when you don't have a spotter, like in a competition or even just long-range shooting on your own. Right? So it does help, and it makes shooting a lot more enjoyable. Not necessarily for the people right next to you because it's going to be super loud, but whatever, Basically, I started looking for a brake, so I went and looked for some of the most popular brakes, especially those that were being used in competitions by PRS shooters, and I saw the Area 419 Hellfire brake, and I'm like, well, okay, let me check it out. And once I started looking into it a little bit more, I'm like, well, that's actually pretty cool. So what I wanted was something that I could use I didn't want to be stuck with a mounted brake, right, with just a brake, because I want to run my gun suppressed sometimes as well. So I started looking for an option that would allow me both, right? And I found the Hellfire Match, this is just the Hellfire. Hellfire Match is actually more expensive. It's a newer one. I'm not going to do a review on that, but I found the Hellfire. And I started looking into it. It's very, very, very cool, right? So what you have is, you have a mount. So you have a mount that goes on the end of your barrel, right? That screws on, and then you just torque it on. Nothing crazy. I think it's like 25 or 30 pounds torque, right? That stays on there. It's threaded. It's also tapered, okay? So you have then a taper mount for when you run a suppressor. They make mounts like this that can go into most commercial cans, right? So this now will thread directly onto the end of here. It is precision machined, and it just feels very, very nice, right? Now imagine there was a suppressor. Now you're locked in there, right? The very impressive and very well machined setup. Now, that's gonna go on a can that I'm gonna get for this gun. But for right now, let's just talk about the Hellfire Match, right? I have one of these. So I wanted to get one brake, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, wow, that's 160 something bucks. And I'm like, that's kind of expensive. I mean, if you're going to be dropping $1,000 on a gun, it's $100 here or there. It's not that crazy, right? But if I have to mount these on all of my guns, that's going to be a problem, right? And there's a few guns that I want to keep precision, right? So for that precision purpose, I want to be able to use brakes for competitions and stuff. So if I have, say, a 6 arc, I just get that mount, which is $40, and this same brake that was on my bolt gun, just take that off. That already has a mount in it. I take this one off of this one, throw it on here. Make sure it's properly aligned. And it screws right on. That's pretty neat, right? So, yeah, it's expensive, right? You can buy it, but it'll fit on that. It'll come on this. And if I need to go back, I'm like, oh, shooting my 308, shooting the bolt gun today. Just screws right off, and it will screw right back on. And if you've seen videos, there's very impressive videos on the point of impact shift, where a dude shot this. He'll shoot it with the brake on, takes the brake off, shoots another target, puts the brake back on, comes back another target. I mean, it's putting a suppressor on, taking it off. Very, very, very cool. So an exact return to your zero, which is what I kind of needed, especially for precision stuff. You don't have to worry about that affecting your zero at all, right? So it's a very cool brake, and yes, it might seem expensive at first, but if you're going to use it on several guns, you are then, dividing that cost over, however many guns you're going to put it on. So you're going to put on 3 guns. You'll divide that cost up. Yeah, you have to buy the mount, an extra mount for each of those guns, but it's $40. Not terrible, right? You could use this. This would be ideal kind of for, you could use it for a hunting rifle, for competition. It's a good brake. It's a very, very good brake. And I got it in 30 caliber because I was going to use it on my 6mm as well, the ARC. And I'm probably going to use it on, when I rebarrel this to 6mm Creedmoor, I'm going to use the same brake. I was looking up the differences, right? Do you need to get a 6mm or 6.5 Creedmoor specific brake for that gun? And from the research I was looking at, I think it was like 3 or 5% difference in recoil reduction between using a 308 on a 6mm. So I know that I can't physically perceive that, right? If it makes you feel better, like, oh, I have a 6mm brake for my 6mm gun, go ahead. If you want to spend extra money, fine, whatever. For me, a 308 will work fine. It's going to mitigate the recoil on that 6.5 or a 6mm just as well as a 308 will, right? So I'm not worried about that. You're not going to be able to tell the difference between 3 and 5% of recoil, right? So what I was worried about, and sometimes if you've used a suppressor and you've got a mount stuck in the can because you take the can off and the mount comes with it, that kind of sucks. That won't happen with this because there's 2 different threads, opposite threads. It's a right-hand thread to get this mount on, and then to put this brake on, it's the reverse. So you're actually going lefty-tighty to get it on. All right? So to get it off, you're going righty-loosey, which is weird. So I'll go righty-loosey. So you'll never be able to pull that mount off, because if you're loosening that, and say it's stuck in, say there's some carbon stuck in there, and say it's a little bit stuck, once you break that brake, the mount, when you loosen it, that would only make this mount even tighter onto the barrel. It's not going to come off in this mount, which is really cool. So now we saw how easy it was to go back and forth with one brake on different guns. Let's look at how it actually reduced the recoil on that 308 Howa that we were shooting. So there you saw a pretty significant difference between unbraked and then it braked with the Area 419 Hellfire. It's night and day when you're feeling it. When you're shooting that 308 with the Hellfire brake on, it doesn't even feel like there's any recoil. It's friggin' awesome, right? You can shoot that 308 all day. It's like shooting a 5.56. That's why I love this thing. So if you're gonna be training a lot, or you're just gonna be shooting, and you want to be able to spot your shots really well, right? Whether that's long-range hunting, just plinking, or hunting. A brake like this is definitely going to help. Now, it's not super light. It is made of all steel, right? Stainless steel, it's nitrided. It does add some heft. It is a little bit hefty. On a competition gun, not a big deal. On a hunting rifle, might be an issue. You might want to look into that. But the Hellfire brake, great brake from Area 419, very versatile. You'll be able to use it on several different guns, as many as you want, depending on how many mounts you have set up on your rifles. Super easy to quick change between the two, between any different rifles, and just works great.